Hello?
My name's Henry.
The real villain of this season of Once Upon a Time has finally been revealed, plus the crazy timeline is explained. Let's break down Season 7, Episode 20 of Once Upon a Time right here on What Happened. What's up, Wancers? Lisa here, and that was a hell of an episode, huh? Actually, this might be one of my favorites this season. They're really queuing things up for a great final 2 episodes and some kind of huge battle plus homecoming. Yeah, it's getting good. So let's just cut to the chase. Our curse has been broken thanks to true love's kiss, which ended up being between mother and son. Yes, Henry gets his belief back in this episode, and when he kisses Regina's forehead, the curse is broken. This means all our characters are now awake, and it is Alice who ends up being the one able to stop Gothel because love conquers hate, and because she's actually more powerful than her mother. Oh, and Rumpel's dagger has gone missing, and he assumes it's Facilier who stole it. The end of the episode sets things up to make it look like that is the case, but it's actually not. Facilier gets stabbed in the back by none other than Rumpelstiltskin. Now you're probably like, huh? Rumpelstiltskin? What? Well, it's actually the Wish Realm version of Rumpel, who we did actually see a few episodes ago, and he might just be the toughest enemy yet, since according to the producers, this Rumpel has had a life without Belle and Balefire, so he has no hope and is just kind of basically evil. And speaking of the twisted timeline, it turns out the reasons we haven't seen any of our Storybrooke heroes coming to the rescue is because life in Hyperion Heights is actually happening in the present of Storybrooke, where we started Season 7. Yeah, it kind of sounds confusing, right? So let's just explain this whole episode. This time, our so-called flashback storyline doesn't happen to be in the Enchanted Forest, but it's in Storybrooke at the beginning of Henry's senior year, right before we started this season off. The episode brings so many feels with the start of Henry's height chart in 5th grade, the Tron lunchbox, and much more. There's even a mention of Violet being Henry's first girlfriend, and we get to see one of our fan favorite characters, Granny, back. And not only is she a great cook, she's a badass car mechanic. Anyway, Regina gives Henry the car, and he's trying to figure out what to do about college. You know, typical teen problems. At first, Regina hopes that Henry will really stay and go to Storybrooke College, but Henry seems to want to go far away from home. Regina eventually comes around to the idea and encourages Henry to go where he wants, and it turns out Henry gets into every college he's applied for, but he's actually having second thoughts. He reveals that the Henry that got into all these colleges wasn't really him because he had to lie in his essays because, you know, writing about a fairy tale place that you live in probably won't be believed by colleges everywhere. He's scared that if he goes off to college and has to keep up this lie, he won't be himself anymore, so he's actually thinking of staying home. Regina is clutch with the motherly advice and says that the only person who can tell you what to do is you. And you better believe that actually comes true in a really crazy way in this episode. As Henry is getting ready for his graduation, the phone rings, and lo and behold, it's dun dun dun, grown-up Henry from Hyperion Heights. Yeah, mind blown? Kind of crazy. This is when we learn that the timelines are really weird, but it helps wake up grown-up Henry. Grown-up Henry gives young Henry some classic advice about home not being a place, but it's the people who are in it who are always with you. He also tells young Henry to not miss the present that fell behind the dresser, which is a gift from good old Tiny, which is actually a magic bean. And this is basically what inspires Henry to set off on his journey to find his own story, which we saw at the very beginning of the season. Henry now knows what he wants to do and tells Regina that he was actually the one not ready to leave Storybrooke. And then he writes her a letter and leaves her the real essay that he wanted to send to the colleges, titled Once Upon a Time, obviously, which talks about how home shapes you and has magic and all these great warm fuzzy words. Now let's head over to good old Hyperion Heights. Lucy informs Regina that Henry and Jacinda's kiss didn't break the curse and that Facilier is the one who helped cure Henry's heart. Gothel then shows up and has this big storm brewing, which she says is a rebirth, and she wants Regina to join as the 8th witch in exchange for her family being spared, but Regina's like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Gothel then informs them, you know what, good luck, because an adult's belief is less potent and Henry is in more pain than they know, so basically she says that you can do nothing to help bring his belief back. That's not gonna stop Regina from trying though, and she does her best to mix up another potion. Rumpel then stops by to apologize for everything he messed up, and he managed to distill a dusting of memory potion from Nick's blood, which he thinks could be helpful. Rumpel's realized basically that he may never get back to Belle, so he needs to actually start helping the family he does have here. Regina goes to visit Henry and slips the potion in his drink, but sadly it doesn't work, and Henry just becomes more angry and defensive with all this talk about fairy tale characters and things. Regina then texts Lucy to meet her at the cemetery because there's one last thing that they can maybe try. Just like in the past when Emma touched the storybook, they think Henry needs to touch the second storybook, and that will bring back his belief. And you know where that storybook is? It's in Victoria's grave, so you can bet that Regina is digging that sucker up. Sadly, that plan doesn't work either, and Regina resorts to showing Henry the old photo of them in the adoption papers. Henry decides, fine, I'll play along for a second, tell me what you'll want, and he's like, well, if this is all true, where are the heroes like Snow and Charming and Emma? Don't they always find you? It's kind of like a light bulb then goes off, and Regina remembers and says that the curse brought them back in time, and technically, she's actually still in Storybrooke too, as is Henry. The characters in Storybrooke basically have no idea anyone is missing because no time has passed to them, and Henry's still calling BS and explains the real pain that he has inside and he has to leave. He and Lucy return to the apartment and he goes to get his phone and sees that Regina slipped the adoption papers in his bag. Curiosity is a powerful thing, so Henry decides to call the number on the paper, and he ends up calling Regina's house in Storybrooke, and the young version of himself answers the phone, and Henry's belief is officially restored, and he says that now he can always remember that that call happened, and he always just thought it was so weird. By this time, Regina has resorted to her good old-fashioned baseball bat to try to bring Gothel down, but it doesn't work, and she ends up getting knocked out by Gothel, who continues to work her magic in the garden. Henry shows up and gives knocked out Regina a kiss on the forehead, and lo and behold, the curse is officially broken. While all this is happening, Rogers is still tied up and tries to convince Tillie to leave to stop this whole, witch chant thing, but she says she can't. He then sees that a witch has been transformed into a tree, and that's something that happens when they finish their job. He manages to break free from his binds because I guess these people that tied him up actually aren't as smart as they think they are, because they forgot the dude had a fake hand and he could just take it off and slip his arm out of the binds. Roger's heart is still poisoned, so his attempt to grab Tillie and drag her away from the circle doesn't work. He vows to come back for her and returns to the station, demands to know what the hell is going on, and Rumpel finally tells him that basically everything in the book, Henry's book, is real, magic's real, everything. Rumpel now has an idea about how they can break this whole curse thing, and before they head out to carry that out, we get a cute moment where Rogers actually asks who he is, if all this is true, and Rumpel just says, I'm not going to tell you yet, but just know you're a survivor, Captain. So what is Rumpel's plan? His plan is to use Margot to try to talk Tillie out of continuing with the spell, so they get Margot and take her to the cave. Margot does her best to talk Tillie out of it, even bringing a tear to Tillie's eyes, but Tillie, she just won't stop. And now, she's actually the only witch left in the circle, which means that the spell is almost done. But thankfully, Henry manages to break the curse just in time, and that magic is stopped, and now everyone is awake, which gives us an Alice and Robin kiss. When it comes to Sabine and Jacinda, aka Tiana and Ella, they paid Facilier a visit to inquire about where the hell Drew is, and they got locked into the copy room with him, but now that they're awake, they come busting out. Regina has her magic back now, but it's still not enough to defeat Mother Gothel. That's when Rumpel, Alice, Robin, and Hook show up, and Rumpel says that Alice is actually going to be the one to stop Gothel, but Alice herself doesn't believe that she's even powerful enough. Leave it up to good old Dad to put his heart on the line and grab Alice's hand to reassure her that she can do it. Of course, then Robin grabs Alice's other hand, and Alice basically says she's not Aladdin, aka a street rat or orphan or outcast, and that she chooses love over hate. She's not going to be like her mom, and she ends up defeating Gothel, turning Gothel into a tree. But Alice is nice enough to show that she has humanity by making some hyacinth flowers grow at the base of Gothel's tree. Now everyone is awake and reuniting in the garden. Rumpel returns to the evidence locker and opens the safe, which he actually doesn't even put a combination into. I guess he just uses his magic. But I feel like you shouldn't be surprised to see that the dagger is actually gone, and there's only one place he thinks that could be. Rumpel then goes to Facilier's office, and there he doesn't find Facilier, but he ends up finding the scrapbook of his adventures with Belle. Facilier then shows up and gets put in a chokehold, but Rumpel takes a glimpse at the book and lets Facilier go, which basically has Facilier calling Rumpel weak. Then, out of nowhere, Facilier is stabbed in the back, and standing there is Wish Realm Rumpel. Yeah, like what the heck? So there you have it. Another Wish Realm character has arrived, and he's a pretty evil one. Now we get to see Rumpel battle himself, kind of, which I think is going to be awesome, and I think Robert's a great actor, so that's going to be a fun dynamic there. I also love that we got both versions of Henry and Regina in this episode. which meant great performances from Jared, Andrew, and Lana. And I'm hoping we get more of these like double Regina scenes in these final 2 episodes, because there's an episode called Homecoming. They end up going back to Storybrooke, so are they going to be able to run into each other, or is that going to cause a ripple effect with time? How that all going to play out should be interesting. As far as this timeline goes, it's really the only way I feel like they could explain why, like they said, Emma, Snow, and Charming haven't shown up yet, but we know that they will soon because the first look photos have been released for the finale, and as well as you can see Snow and Charming in the promo for the next episode.
He's here? What the hell does he want?
Where are my family? What did you do to them?
If you ever want to see your family, you're gonna give me the Dark One dagger.
I heard you needed some help. Captain Hook is ready to go back home.
The one enemy I can never defeat is myself.
So yeah, that promo gives us a glimpse of some of the people that are coming back, including Snow, Emma, and Charming, even Ariel, Peter Pan, and so many more. So the first photos that were revealed via Entertainment Weekly, we get to see younger Henry and older Henry together, which I think will be some trippy fun. It also seems kind of like it's going to take all of our heroes, even both versions of them maybe, to take down this Wish Realm Rumple. The producers have said when it comes to the series' end that not every loose end will be tied up, but that we will get a glimpse of Emma and Hook's happy ending. Alice and Robin are going to take a big leap in their relationship, and we'll see Rumple inch towards a potential reunion with Belle. Plus, we're going to finally get Regina's happy ending, which didn't really happen in season 6, so they've been saving it for this big finale, and I'm hoping she gets the one that she deserves and that somehow maybe she'll be reunited with Robin. And that wraps up this week's recap. What did you think about that whole timeline twist? Does it make sense to you? How do you think Wish Realm Rumple will be defeated? And are you excited to see these characters return back to Storybrooke? Leave all your thoughts down below, and then you can click right over here for the latest information on 13 Reasons Why Season 2. Don't forget to subscribe if you like what you see so you can stay in the know. Hit that thumbs up if you like what you see. My name's Lisa. Thanks again for hanging out with me, Oncers. It's always a pleasure.